The Last Guest is probably the most well-known fan-made Roblox movie as of now, I think. So for those of you who don't know what The Last Guest is, it's a Roblox movie that was released in 4 parts over a long period of time, like from 2017 to 2018. And it was a really sad movie, and it made people cry. So now, some of you may be asking what the plot is of this movie that made 9-year-olds on their iPad cry. So, to give a tiny summary of this movie, basically Roblox bacon hairs want to take over the world, so they kill Gas, and then the non-bacon hairs have to go to war. I first watched the movie back when I think, part 3 released. To be honest, it's pretty cheesy to 10-year-old me, and not sad at all. So I never understood why people thought The Last Guest was so sad. And I think it's important to explain why The Last Guest isn't sad. In case anyone cares, I'm going to have to spoil the entire movie to explain why it isn't sad. Also, I didn't bother rewatching the movie, maybe only part, but it's kind of difficult for me to watch. But luckily, I have a pretty good memory of what happened in the movie. Also, I watched a version with the movie where it's split up into the 4 videos because I watched it at the time before the entire full-length movie for all the changes that were made. So I'll mainly be referring to the parts version and also some parts of the full movie version. So in both parts and full movie version, the movie starts off with a blue-haired guy named Guest, and is also considered the last guest, and a brown-haired guy hiding behind one of those pillar fence thingies I see in a military base, and they are in a war zone, and they are shooting. But something I want to point out is that the position both are in a war zone is pretty dumb to do from all the war movies I've watched. They're of course, and they are accurate. Well, I guess the guest is doing okay. The brown-haired guy is literally out in the open, pretty much asking to be shot down by the enemy. And that's exactly what happens. He gets shot and ragdolls to the ground. The guest starts crying, and then this weird little scene happens where the guest starts crying, and I guess he's digging for the guts of brown-haired guy. Even though from what I saw, it looks like a brown-haired guy got shot in the head. Now, in the full movie version, right after that scene, it cuts to this flashback of Guest and his dad fishing, and it sounds like they're talking in a sewer tunnel for a few seconds, and then Guest expresses his concern to his dad about how other guests are disappearing and why he needs to move schools. And you know what the dad says? There's nothing to worry about. So pretty much people of their own kind disappearing to who knows where is the least of your concern, dad guy. So we cut over to Guest's first day of school, where he looks, I guess, somewhat smaller than the last scene. As his mother and father drop him off, he says, "Mom, I'm a guest. No one is going to like me." And coincidentally, some emo kids show up and they're like, "Ew, a guest. I didn't know they were still around. Ugh." So I guess they're kind of the equivalent of a racist in Roblox. I don't know. And then the mom's just like, "Hey, just ignore them. Be yourself and be brave." Yeah, there's nothing to be worried about when there's an obvious concern about guests being bullied. Man, this is a lot about Roblox society and how it functions and its future. So then I don't know how long later, one day on a rainy day, Guest and his parents out in the park for some reason, which isn't a very good idea considering all the dangerous things been going on. But then, my username's this shows up with a gun, and the dad Guest turns around and has a rather chill reaction to being held at gunpoint. So then my username is this, shoots him down, and for whatever reason, he doesn't really notice guest. I don't know why. Well, it's something I don't get is why didn't the parents try to protect their kid? They just stood there and died and didn't even try to flee. What a bunch of losers. 0 out of 10 parents. Anyways, someone calls 911 and the parents just die at the hospital. And a news report on the TV reporting on the incident says that guest's parents were one of the last guests, and the police have been powerless to stop the bacon hairs from causing destruction and the end of the world. Now, this doesn't really make any sense. If the police have been struggling to protect the people because of how much of a threat the bacon hairs are, why aren't there stronger forces being deployed to the city, or setting up safety protocols like limiting where you can go, or just tensing up the security? Whoever is governing Roblox is doing a terrible job at protecting the people. I wonder who governs this government. So anyways, Guest is sent to an actually really nice looking orphanage, unless he was sent to a foster home or something, since he has a freaking PC and his own bedroom. Anyways, Guest meets Daisy at the orphanage and they go to the park. Now I'm thinking that wouldn't Guest be not so sure about going to the park due to he pretty much would have some trauma about what happened with his parents, Nah. So one day at the park, Guest is bawling, and then Daisy gets beaten up by some common Roblox bullies you see out in the common Roblox bully videos from this time. And then this red shirt guy named Matt, which I think is Oblivious's self-insert, gets rid of the bullies effortlessly, and now Daisy, Guest, and Matt are best friends. But then one day, the bacon come. No. So then they just hide in a closet which conveniently fits all 3 of them. So after giving up on hide and seek and not bothering to open the other closet where Guest and his friends were hiding in, my username's this walks out of the room and conveniently escapes the police because we need to have the plot to happen. So flash forward 10 years later, and Guest marries Daisy, and Matt is left to be single for eternity. Daisy and Guest have a pill-shaped baby that kisses Daisy. Also, wouldn't the baby be a mix of Guest and Daisy? Also, why does Guest always wear the same sweater? It's been proven that you can change clothes, shown in the wedding scene. I have a lot of questions. All seems well for Guest and his family, when on the news it's reported that the bacon hair are once again committing war crimes, and only until now, the leader of all of Roblox, Builderman, just decides to demand people to remain indoors. Man, Builderman's a pretty bad leader if you ask me. He's going to send Roblox into a downward spiral of death and suffering. Heck, even now there's only one last guest. Wow, this government is kind of corrupted if you ask me. We now skip to a scene with Matt and Guest at the bar, and Guest and Matt just decide to go to the war because they see a war poster. The one of the white hair man with the American flag hat thingy, and that he says he wants you to join the army. Well, first of all, I think it's not a very good idea to just go join the military at this point, Guest. You have a wife and kid. I know you want to protect them, but I don't know, maybe you should just stay home to protect them or something. But also, second of all, The current situation like this would be considered a national emergency thingy, so it'd be very likely a draft would have happened a while ago because of like the war and stuff. But I guess Builderman is that dumb of a ruler. So anyways, after an inspiring training montage, Guest and Matt are ready to enter the war. Something I need to point out besides my computer fan making noises is on the way. Guest and his troops are deployed to the front and are forced to walk and keep up with a tank in the desert. I think the Roblox government is too poor to afford one of those cars those soldiers are carried in. And where's their helmets? What the heck? The only person who's even wearing something on their head is some yellow guy with a chef hat, and that's not even going to provide him some protection. It's just so weird. So overall, I feel like the depiction of the fighting scene was pretty inaccurate and poorly done. If you've seen any war movies, there aren't just people just like, wow, you can do this. My mom told me that I can be brave and all that stuff. Like, have you seen like in like these like descriptions of like these wars or like in a war book I've been reading? Like they like pretty much describe the fighters like they just have to lose their humanity and just like in a way become like these savage creatures, and they must kill with no hesitation no matter what. And then, it's just like Legos fighting. Yeah, whatever. So then that scene at the beginning of the movie is shown. That one where Matt dies, or I don't know, he gets shot because he was really stupid. And then Guest decided that he's gonna get out of his protection barrier thing and just fight the bacon hairs himself, which is also a pretty dumb thing to do in a war. So he fights his way through the battlefield, conveniently missing the bullets and punches from the Bacons who are just wearing their everyday clothes. I wonder if they're bulletproof or something, or maybe they're just plain stupid. Eventually, Guest does get shot down. See, I knew this war scene was dumb. But now he has to confront famous YouTuber, my username's this, to beat him in subscriber count. To beat him, all Guest needs to do is to throw a grenade under a truck and next to username, and he will conveniently not try to run away, and he will blow up. So, after the fighting, the military just presumes Guest dead, and they tell his wife that he has fallen. So, in a presumably short amount of time, Builderman has a statue built of Guest for blowing up my username's this, and then after the inspirational speeches, part 1 ends. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. We'll talk about part 2. Okay, bye.